And now Pisander rushed Menelaus, famed in arms, but a grim fate was rushing him to the stroke of death, to be crushed in this hell of war by you, Menelaus. Just as the two men closed, heading into each other, Atrides missed, his spear shaft hooking off to the side. Pisander stabbed his shield, but the bronze could not bore through. The huge hide blocked it. The shaft snapped at the socket. Still the Trojan exulted, wild with hopes of triumph, as Menelaus, drawing his sword with silver studs, leapt at Pisander, who clutched beneath his shield his good bronze axe with its cleaving blade set on a long, smooth olive haft. A clash. Both fighters at one great stroke chopped at each other. Pisander hacked the horn of the horsehair-crested helmet right at its ridge, lunging as Menelaus hacked Pisander between the eyes. The bridge of the nose and bone cracked. Blood sprayed and both eyes dropped at his feet to mix in the dust. He curled and crashed. Digging a heel in his chest, Menelaus stripped his gear and vaunted out in glory. So home you'll run from our racing ships, by God, all as corpses. See, you death-defying Trojans, never sated with shattering war cries are you, nor do you lack the other brands of outrage, all that shame you heaped on me, you rabid dogs. No fear in your hearts for the quaking rage of Zeus, the thundering god of hosts and welcome stranger. One day he'll raise your lofty city for you, you Trojans who stole away my wedded wife and hordes of riches too, for no reason, none, my queen of the realm who hosted you with kindness, and now you rampage on among our deep-sea ships, wild to torch our hulls and kill our heroes. Well, you'll be stopped somewhere, mad as you are for combat. Zeus, Father Zeus, they say you excel all others, all men and gods in wisdom clear and calm. But all this brutal carnage comes from you. Look how you favor them, these reckless Trojans, their fury always in uproar. No one can ever slake their thirst for blood, for the great leveler, war. One can achieve his fill of all good things, even of sleep, even of making love, rapturous song and the beat and sway of dancing. A man will yearn for his fill of all these joys before his fill of war, but not these Trojans. No one can glut their lust for battle. So he cried, and staunch Atrides stripped the gear from the corpse, and heaving the bloody bronze to eager comrades, swung to attack again, front line assault. There Harpalion charged Menelaus, King Pylaemenes' son, who'd followed his father into war at Troy, but he never reached his fatherland again. He closed on Atrides, spear stabbing his shield right on the boss, but the bronze could not drive through. So back he drew into his ranks, dodging death, glancing left and right, fearing a lance would graze his flesh. But Meriones caught him in full retreat. He let fly with a bronze-tipped arrow, hitting his right buttock up under the pelvic bone, so the lance pierced the bladder. He sank on the spot, hunched in his dear companion's arms, gasping out his life as he writhed along the ground like an earthworm stretched out in death, blood pooling, soaking the earth dark red. Hardy Paphlagonians, working over him, hoisting him onto a chariot, bore him back to the sacred walls of Troy. Deep in grief, while his father, weeping freely, walked beside them now, no blood price came his way, not for his son who breathed his last in battle. But Paris flared in rage at his comrade's death, his friend and guest among all the Paphlagonians. Incensed, he let loose with a bronze-tipped arrow, aimed at one Euchenor, son of the prophet Polyidus, a decent, wealthy man who made his home in Corinth. Well, Euchenor knew that boarding the ships for Troy meant certain death. His father told him so. Time and again the strong old prophet said he'd die in his own halls of a fatal plague, or go with the ships and die at Trojan hands. So off Euchenor sailed, both to save his wealth from the heavy fine the Argives made deserters pay, and himself from wasting illness. No slow plague for him. Suddenly Paris struck him under the jaw and ear, and life flew from his limbs, and the hateful darkness had him in its grip.